Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Today we're talking about motivation. It is the week of what if, because I believe when we start asking and pondering and thinking the right things, we start to come up with answers that otherwise would have been completely off the table and unavailable. Do you know that? When we think that it's impossible and there's no way and we're completely focused on the big old problem, we don't get ourselves to the place of solution orientedness. We can't, because we're spending too much time and energy on the problem. Oh, we know the details of that. We know what she was wearing. We know what we felt like. We know what it was like. We know the details of everything to the nth degree, you know, right? How helpful is that? What has that done for you to solve the problem? What? I had a woman for a while there, and I think she's gone now. I don't believe she ever decided to hang out. But she was all about the lack of motivation in her life. She went into these we went back and forth, like we were like pen pals for a while. I'm on the couch. This is what I'm doing. This is my phone. The list, email that just went on. And finally I said to her after an exchange about 3 or 4 times, maybe if you put all that energy into just doing something, you'd be okay. Motivation never comes a knocking at the door. I always say that because it's true. Motivation is an inside deal. It's an inside deal. It's when we make a decision that we're done waiting for motivation to show up at the door, because it's not going to happen. Motivation might come in different ways. Right? Good heavens, we've seen that a lot. Oh my goodness, Juanita, look at this. This is here, case in point about this. Sorry, sidetrack. I had a woman tell me once, just stop eating, when we were in a Bible study and I asked for prayer for help with overcoming food addiction. Oh, Juanita, you hold her down, I'll slap her. Okay, deal? I'm sorry. Not only is it ignorant, but it's absolutely mean-hearted. It's showing there is no empathy, there's no love, there's no care. It's just a flip dismissal. If you're tired of people dismissing you and not thinking that what you're going through is real, hang out with us for a while and you'll find out that that's not at all the truth. We all have our things, don't we? We all have our things. But what I want to bring you to this place of what ifness today is because that when our focus changes, that we're focusing on will expand, and these solutions will come and the people will appear. It's absolutely miraculous how this whole thing works, but it's a setup. It's a setup and it's a given, and it's a gift from God, from him to you and me and everybody else. This is something we can all access. It's not just for the few, not at all. Because motivation is already here. It is like wisdom. We talked on Saturday about our beautiful selves and about how our higher self really resides here. And our higher self is who is communicating with God himself. And when we understand that and we know that connection, we feel that connection, and it's different, and we feel like we have to get to that place. Well, no, you don't have to get to that place. It's there at any time that you say, tick, I just want to access that. It's there anytime. So same thing, our motivation is there. We have a motivator. Every once in a while, of course, there is something that's going to motivate us to say, holy Toledo, we got to do something different here. We get a picture. I mean, that I remember getting a picture and saying, that's not me. Oh my gosh, that's me. And it was from the back. Of course, that's, I always say now, no butt shots, because those are evil. But it was absolutely frightening, but that was a motivator. I've had many a client motivated because of what a doctor said, a diagnosis, getting on the scale and seeing a new number. That's a motivation. But everything is fleeting. Everything is fleeting. Everything's just like a little thing here and a little thing there. We forget about the picture. We're like, well, the doctor said this, but a little bit of this won't hurt. And we begin to start rationalizing and taking away and getting away from that external motivation. So how do we get to this place? What are the drivers then of motivation? We have the intrinsic and extrinsic, right? The extrinsic ones are what we want. And intrinsic, it's what we have to do to get there, right? There's a chain reaction here. Well, here's what I want. I want to, lose some weight and feel better and not have to take all these medications. To getting there, it's going to require a bridge build, right? We talk about this because we have toolboxes. We all have toolboxes. And on the top shelf of that toolbox is your own inner motivation. It's the yellow brick road. Remember Dorothy? Remember that? She already had what she needed to go anywhere that she wanted, right? And it had zero to do with the fancy shoes she had on her feet, even though she had them on her feet and she didn't know why. Nothing to do with it. So this is exactly what Glinda says to her. You've always had the power. You just had to learn it for yourself. The power was always within. You just had to learn it for yourself, right? So Glinda, the Good Witch, is telling her, this is an inside job, sister. This is not something that these lion and the tigers and the bears and the scarecrow and the Tin Man and all, no one's going to give it to you, not even the flying monkeys, It has nothing to do with that. And we all have flying monkeys in our lives, don't we? I mean, come on, cue the flying monkeys. It happens. It's what life is about. There are always distractions, but the inner part of you that is saying, this is what I want, also has the part of you that says, what if I did this? What if I stopped counting calories and instead focused on feeding myself heart, mind, body, and soul? What if I stopped with all these crazy mechanisms and programs and diet books and, pills that make me not sleep for 3 days? What if I quit all of that and instead looked at the science? What if I did that? These are the things that I want you to start looking at, because these are the things that are ultimately your own internal motivation. And that is a mechanism that we all have the ability to flick the switch on, every single one of us. And that is so liberating, because you're not constantly looking for stuff. Now, having an environment setting you up for success, that is motivating, yes, but it's a drop here and a drop there. Inside, that's where the machine is. This stuff is all just fuel. You see where I'm going with all that? Jen said she put her monkeys back in the barrel where they belong. I love that. I know, we got to get rid of that. Amy, I'm glad you're here. Margot, you too. So finding that motivation is inside. When it's an inside job, that's really convenient, right? Because it's always with us. We don't have to go anywhere looking for it. We don't have to just hope that somehow or another it's just going to drop on our heads or come from the sky like manna. We don't have to look for any of that. This is what I love. That. Oh, Glinda the Good Witch. Let's go back to the yellow brick road, shall we? It's always best to start at the beginning, and all you have to do is follow the yellow brick road. And I would say this is what Leanne says. Okay, that's Glinda, right? She's talking to Dorothy and they're in Oz. But I'm going to tell you right here today, it's always best to start with the sprint, and all you have to do is follow the plan. Because that plan, and all of you who are getting results, right? I mean, the results are flying in and they're just fabulous. It's showing you the evidence for the thing that you've been looking for. It's showing you that you're not weight loss resistance. What the problem was, you're doing things that weren't abiding by what your body's chemistry is telling you. You are seeing the results from doing the right things. Doing enough right things is motivating enough. And keep going. And day after day, keep signing that commitment contract like our friend Sarah does every day. It brings us back to the present and brings us back into the place of every single day is an opportunity to start over. That is motivating enough. Because what if you made that decision that you are today going to take your cues from and be fed from everything that's around you? Be fed from the quote deck that's in front of you, with the quotes that are nurturing you, with your goals, with the people around you, with all of it. What if we all did that? What if we started with a moment to just derive the motivation that we could from all the things around us? Because everything can support it. Everything in your life has the possibility of supporting the exact life that you want to lead when you make the decision that it will. It's that simple. So now you know where to find motivation, right here inside of you. Let's get some directions for that, shall we? Because there's mechanics to this whole motivational thing. Let me pull this up so I can read it easier. Number one is you got to make a list of all the things that need to get done. You know, we do make lists, don't we? We make grocery lists. We make lists of all the things. When we make lists and we add our motivating things, the things that are going to support the motivation that we need in our lives, because remember, motivation goes to when you do it, when you actually follow through with the motivating thought, that helps to create momentum. And motivation plus momentum equals anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Magic. Equals magic. So you can get magic in your life like that, simply by making that motivational list of the things that you need to do, following through and doing them, and watching the motivation every single day have its way with you. That's how you get the magic. Because momentum has its own, physics to it. One domino down and all the rest of them go down. It gets easier. And that's what making a list is all about, especially if you follow through on that. There you go. There you go. Yes, exactly. James Clear. Love that guy. Read that book twice. Listened to it once. Fabulous. And we can be motivated, and there's also another thing of how are you motivated? Are you motivated by pain or are you motivated by pleasure? A lot of people. So for the pleasure people, it's going to be some kind of a, reward, like going and getting some nails done or whatever. It's doing something non-food oriented. And then for the pain people, maybe you make a bet with somebody, hey, if I don't lose, 10 pounds by the end of April, I owe you $100. That's painful. Some people, that's what they're thinking. So know what you're motivated by as well. Yes. Pamela wants me to repeat how you get magic. It's right there. Motivation plus momentum equals magic. Sarah Preston. Why is Sarah Preston? There you go. I said that actually, but that's okay. We'll give Sarah. Number two is calendar it like you would calendar a doctor's appointment. So when we put into the equation that we are going to, for example, do the Stay Strong, Be Strong. Free program, easy, 15 minutes a day, the 4-minute workout. Do you have it written down in your calendar? When we use our calendars like this is how we live our lives, we take the list and we integrate them into our calendars. What happens there? Have you noticed what happens when you look at it like this is ironclad? I've told this story, but it's worth telling again. When you show up and you find yourself in this place of just saying, I'm going to do it anyway, you'll find yourself in the place of saying afterwards, that was the best decision I have made. And you should say that, and you should write it into your journal. When we write these things down, we're making declarations to our hearts, to our brains, And to ourselves, look at what I've done. Look at this victory lap that I'm taking here. That's it. That's what you want to be doing. So this is the whole thing that we need to be doing. And when has anybody here ever missed a doctor's appointment by accident? And then when you go to the doctor's appointment, they say, oh, you need to pay for the one that you missed. That's how it should be. And that happened to me. And I was like aghast that I'd written it down wrong. I even showed them on my calendar. Look, I wrote it down wrong. They didn't care. Pay me anyway. You know, you took up our time. You didn't show up. We're going to charge you. That's how it should be. And you could do something like this with a body clutter, but there's 100 different ways that you can do this. But the point is, calendar it and make it ironclad like you would a doctor's appointment. Number 3, here's one of the things that you can do as well. Put your costume on. If you're going to go work out, if you're going to go to work, if you're going to go do something, maybe that's a little bit outside the lines. I don't know, whatever it is that you're trying to do something and just say, okay, just for 1 minute. I mean, if it's just going to the gym, you can drive to the gym and wear your outfit and just sit there in the parking lot and then make a decision. Am I going to go in? But you just have to show up, right? That's it. All I'm asking is just show up and then give it 1 minute. And after 1 minute, if you don't like it and you still don't want to do it, then leave. See, that's your out. And that's also easy on your brain. That's a non-decision. It's simple. Number 4 is that you ready for this one? This is a bomb. Your feelings shouldn't be running your life. Have you noticed that? What happens when that happens? And we say this, we say this to our teenage daughters, right? Like, can you not? But how often have we allowed our feelings, I don't feel like it, run our lives? And then what do we have at the end of it? Then we do our tallies and they're pretty sad. The tally at the end of the month is, well, you didn't lose any weight. And you said you're going to do all these things. And no, you're not any fitter. No, you're not feeling any better. You're still sleeping like crap. You still feel terrible. Your joints are hurting. Maybe following through. Maybe allowing your feelings to be in the back seat and your doings to be in the front. That's the whole thing, because our feelings are always going to try to run the show. Nobody feels like, hey, I feel like going out for a run. I feel like going out for a run in the rain. You would, if your dog needs to go walking, you wouldn't deny your dog a walk, would you? How about you? Put yourself on the list and don't let your feelings be in charge anymore, because they're very deceptive and they're going to keep us back from the things that we want. Helen said, my feelings did run my life until I met you, Leanne. Oh, sweet. Thank you, Helen. What a sweetheart. Yes. Number 5 is focus on the solutions and not the problems. And guess what happens to this? This is a biggie because it mixes with the biology. There is a lot of energy fatigue that we all face. We all face decision fatigue. And it's constant back and forth. And when we're wibbly wobbly and going, well, should I or shouldn't I or should I or shouldn't I? Do you ever just get exhausted and want to go to bed after that? I mean, yeah, you all do. We all do. Because it doesn't work. If we instead decide, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on what the solution can be instead of should I or shouldn't I. We take the shoulds out of our lives. Stop shoulding all over yourself and let's get to the solution, shall we? The solution always is, okay, so what is the solution? Instead of saying, why don't I feel motivated? Instead of that, just say, let's just go to the mechanics of the thing, right? Because motivation is very often tied to feelings of how you feel about it. There's so much truth to that. And instead we get to go, okay, so what's the problem? I'm not working out. Why are you not working out? Well, I run out of time. Why do you run out of time? And then you just keep asking. Remember that question matrix that we asked, the whys, getting to the why? And then when we see it, now we've got, okay, there's your answer. And when we get to that answer, whether we like it or not, we go for it. And that's going to hold us back. That's going to hold us in the place of making a solution and making a focus on the solution instead of spending all that worthless time and hand wringing over the problem. Nobody wants to hear about it 18 million times. Have you ever been around that one friend who, how are you? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. And then they go and they unload in such disgusting detail that you're sitting there, your eyes are watering, and you're thinking in your head, how do I get out of here? You ever had that happen? I know you have. We all have. Nobody wants to be around that because it's in a sense, it's complaining. And being around somebody who complains all the time is really draining. And for the person doing all the complaining, their brain is literally shrinking. Look it up. That's part of the biology. Your hippocampus shrinks the more you complain. I think God is in on this, don't you? He's like letting you know, this is how your biology works. If you want to do it that way, we're just going to shrink it all up so you'll do less of it as you get older. Man, talk about being, just like boom, boom, boom. Here it is, baby. Number 6 is food is information and will directly influence everything that you're doing, including your decision making. Because if you are full and addicted to sugar, your brain is going to be on sugar. Your brain on sugar is not a good decision maker. This is where blood sugar levels are all over the place and getting into crazy town. When we're in crazy town, guess what happens? We don't make great decisions. We're all over the board. And if you don't think food influences you, if you don't think food is the influence that you need in your life, then you're completely wrong. We have to start there. It's foundational. It runs everything in your life. Every single thing in your life. It runs what you do. This is how you fuel your life. So if you're fueling yourself with good stuff, give it 7 days, do the sprint. Give it 7 days and just see what happens. I can't tell you how many times in just 7 days, I had women who are diabetics having their doctors take them half of their medications, halving them. I've had blood pressure, ladies get off of blood pressure meds. I've seen one thing after the other just from getting the food corrected. When food is information and you're giving it the right information, your body is going to know what to do with it. And that includes the way you make decisions. You'll make decisions that are right for you. You'll make decisions that make sense for the things that you want to do. Your goals will come into play. The vision that you have for your life will come into play. The vibrancy that you want will very much be plugged into the food that you're eating because it's information so that you can get that. All of that. 1, 2, 3, it all works. Margaret is asking, repeat number 6. Food is information and will directly influence the way you think. Food is information. And it will directly influence what your motivation's about because you won't crash and burn anymore. Because motivation, you don't have any motivation. You're going to go crashing, like you get all hyped up on that Snickers bar, then all of a sudden you'll crash and burn and you just need to lay on the couch and Netflix it for a minute, right? Maybe it's time for a glass of wine and then, falling asleep on the couch and stumbling to bed. That's what you see what I'm saying. There's no vibrancy there. There's no vibrancy in that. That's just checking out. And when we check out, we're not motivated. We're checked out. That's literally it. That doesn't mean we don't deserve chill time. That doesn't mean we don't deserve a little downtime. It just means that when this is a habitual pattern, because the food is so bad, the fuel is bad, and you're going to run like garbage. That's all. It's like instead of putting gas in your car, you've decided, maybe a little bit of, I don't know, cooking oil. See how long that lasts. Not pretty good, not well, right? The quality matters. And then number 7 is eat your frogs first. Put your big rocks in. However it is that you want to phrase this, but do the big things first. Get some of these things out of the way. So I shared that with you a while ago. I was getting up at darko 30 and doing my workout and what have you. But the quality of my sleep lately has just been a little off. And when that happens, you understand, getting that sleep is critical. That's foundational. So I've been letting myself sleep in just a little bit because, 2:00 in the morning, it's time to wake up. No, go to the bathroom, have a little drink of water, go back to bed, and then start thinking about your evening, thinking about the day, the next day. Sometimes that happens. So back to bed I go and go back to sleep. So what I've started doing then is breaking up. Sarah's all of a sudden is a frog eater. She loves her frogs. So what we do then is we look at what we have in our day. And I have broken everything up in, fortunately, my app lets me do a stack of different exercises. So today I've got 4 of them. I've got core, legs, and glutes. My butt's going to kill me. I just know it. I have a fun ride that I'm going to do, and I have something else in there. So all 4 of those, all 4 of these things are, you need to go away. There it is. Okay. Sorry. So that, all of that, helps me to get going because I just stack the ride. I do a piece of it. So I'm doing a piece of the frog, right? I've got the leg and the they don't have tails, but they've got the 2 front legs, man. I just ate the front legs, not the head yet, but the head is always getting on the bike because it's really hard for me. Not gonna lie, it's not easy. It's hard when you're building new muscle, when you're doing new things. But this is the whole thing. We need to eat our frogs first, period. Eat the frog first. Get the big thing out of the way. Get it done. Break it up if you need to. Put it in a place here and there, but it needs to be done. At the end of the day, you want to be able to have that good feeling of saying, I did it. So we know that motivation is as fleeting as feelings, right? And you know what motivates you and what doesn't. But I want you to just do this. You just have to start here. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and in your capability to be able to do this, because you have the ability to do it just as much as I do, just as much as anyone else does when you shift your focus. Motivation is inside of you. Motivation is inside of you and just waiting for you to say, flip the switch and say, hey, motivation, let's go. We've got some work to do here. What if you did that for your motivation instead of looking everywhere else for it? What if you did that? That's what I have for you today. So remember, commit to this, be willing, be open, and be determined, because this is your life and you're the one who gets to live it. And you're the one who gets to determine the quality of it. And it starts right here today with your motivation, right? Let's do it. What if? Put those pinkies up. Let's do this. It's What If Week. Peace be with you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.